Hi. It's a little late since it was posted 11 days ago, but if you are someone who joined the Hex 3 CV2 group buy with Mexinco, Keeps and Cables, a vendor based in Australia, has paid for the invoice of Mexinco orders and will be working to make sure that folks get their keyboards. I'm sure that many of you probably already wrote this off as a lost cause, so it's really nice to see that there are still folks working to make this right. If you are part of the Mexinco group buy, just fill out the form that I've linked on the Reddit post, and apparently all you have to do is pay for the cost to ship the keyboard from them to you. Big shout out to Keeps and Cables for them stepping up even though they didn't have to, and working to make sure people get the keyboard that they paid for. Anyways, without further ado, This set does remind me of GMK Delta due to the color scheme, but they are still different. The inspiration behind this set is the verdigris color that develops on copper or bronze, which we often see on statues such as the Statue of Liberty. You can see it on the base kit itself, but it's probably a little more obvious when you look at the novelty keys and the designs that the designer went with. That being said, it's also probably not something you think about on a daily basis, so for me personally, the theme wasn't a big deciding factor for me when judging this set. The base kit is decently sized with a decent selection of keys, such as several different spacebar sizes, though the numpad is separated to its own kit. I know that some folks prefer when the numpad is included in the base, but from personal experience, the most popular keyboard sizes usually don't have a numpad, and it does make the base kit more expensive, so if you're able to reduce cost by separating it out, I'm all for it. Other than that, we have the novelties kit that I mentioned before, and an add-on kit that has some shine through indicators, 4 relegendable keys, and a couple of other more niche keys that you might want if you use those layouts. It's quite simple kitting, which is pretty nice, and while there isn't a metal artisan being offered, there is a desk mat that I think is pretty well designed. Pricing for this set is pretty good, in my opinion, with the base kit coming in at a little under $100, but I will say that the novelties kit is quite expensive at $55. It is a pretty big kit with several designs and 12 macro keys, but unless you're a big fan of the designs or really want some customizability, I'd probably just stick with the base kit. Overall, I think that Key Kobo Verdigris looks really good and is a well thought out set despite its more niche inspiration. I am a little worried that this set won't meet MOQ due to the low number of post-it interactions in the interest check, and the fact that a couple of Key Kobo sets were recently cancelled. So, if you are interested, do make sure to do your due diligence to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, but if you're comfortable with the risk and really want this set, it might be a good idea to join the group buy rather than waiting for extras. The Paper 80 is a new keyboard from Mucha Studios inspired by the short film Paperman from Disney that was shown back in 2012. In the short film, it shows a cute love story about a young man trying to get the attention of a young woman he met using paper planes, hence the design on the weight and engraving on the top case. The case design also does remind me of the paper plane and its folds with the Paper 80's angular design and how the bottom weight and case opens up. The weight is quite a bit smaller than the bottom case of the keyboard, so I did see some concerns that the keyboard would tilt or wobble too easily. While I understand those concerns, I think that the base weight is actually large enough to provide stability to the keyboard, and looking at some of the reviews that were made, you should probably be okay unless you're putting a lot of pressure on the right or left side. That being said, we won't really be able to tell until customers start getting them on hand, but if this is a big concern to you, maybe this is a deal breaker. The Paper 80 has a lot of lighting elements with the top case plain diffuser, the mid case light, as well as a light that shines through the gap of the weight and bottom case, but surprisingly does not have per key RGB. I'm not that big on RGB anymore, so it's not a deal breaker for me, but I am kind of surprised that they decided not to offer this feature. I'm not really sure why they decided against it, because I don't think it would have cost them that much more, but I guess it is what it is. The mounting style for this keyboard is what they're calling lock hole gasket mount, but really, it just straight up looks like top mount. They decided to use this mounting style because they wanted to reduce keyboard vibrations from typing as much as possible, so it makes sense why you would want to go with something stiffer. Color options are quite good, but not as many as some of Wucha Studio's other keyboards. You will still have several different color combinations available with the different weight options that will be offered, so it's not like you'll be starved of choices. With prices starting at $299, I think that the Paper 80 is a decent TKL with some unique design choices that look quite good. It's not the best deal out there due to all these budget boards that we have access to nowadays, but I wouldn't say that it's overpriced. If you're a fan of the original short film, really like lighting elements, or maybe just want a TKL with a kind of a unique look, I think that the Paper 80 is worth looking into. The M9N is a premium looking 40% keyboard being sold on KBD fans, with only 35 units being sold total. Unfortunately, I'm posting about this quite late since I didn't do a GB community post, so some of the color options are already sold out, but the copperweight variants are still available. Buying one of these keyboards does qualify you for a chance to win the opportunity to buy a limited edition M9N, but like always, I tend to discourage folks from doing so because it's not guaranteed and it's not a free keyboard, rather an opportunity to spend even more money. At $365, this keyboard is not cheap considering the form factor, but it is a really beautifully designed board that features simple design language that also has some nice sweeping lines and curves. It's definitely not the board for everyone considering the fact it is a 40% keyboard, which means you have a lot less keys, and the fact that the price is pretty high for its form factor. But if you are someone who appreciates the layout and design, I think that this is a great keyboard to buy. The Hummingbird 68 is a very simplistic keyboard, and really not my taste, but for what you are getting at $85, I think that this is a great deal. Not only are you getting a keyboard, but you're getting a set of Hall effect switches, a set of stabilizers, a carrying case, and even a set of triple shot PBT keycaps, which means you get a whole build for that money, and it's made of metal. It's a great package for pretty much anyone in the hobby, whether you are brand new, looking to try Hall effect switches, or looking for something budget. If they are able to deliver, hopefully without issues, I think that this is one of the best buys I've seen in quite a while.